Welcome to another episode of the Gentry Memorial Book Club. I'm Alan the Unicorn, and with me today is
Dalian,
James,
Terry, fabulous.
And Terry and Dal also have a show, Comic Book Straight Talk. So if you get a chance, listen to their podcast.
And as I've been saying yesterday, it's recorded in the oldest comic shop in Oklahoma, Comic Empire.
It is in the basement.
The basement.
Wee basement. Because only the best lighting for these guys.
It's secret basement. Next to the pool.
Next to the pool. We will be talking about and answering silly questions from the Ho Bag about the Pride of Baghdad, which was James's pick for July. And then we will pick
Terry is next.
Terry's next. See what his pick will be. I'm kind of nervous now. Although slightly relieved because I thought it was going to be Dallas. I was like,
you of everybody here enjoyed my last pick.
I did. I actually still am reading The Sink. I just read the newest issue. And so, without further ado, let's get to it. I will go first
do we want
because I'm
James
awesome.
to kind of tell what Pride of Baghdad was about?
Let's answer the questions, and then anything that's left unanswered, we can talk about at the
Well,
end.
Oh,
we didn't say who it was by. Brian K. Vaughan and who's the artist?
Give me a second. Nico Henrichon? Henricon?
H-A-J.
Henrichon.
So Pride of
Henrichon?
Pride of Baghdad by Brian K. Vaughan and
Brian, yep.
Nico.
And Nico, yes. Do you think the title fits the book well? So why or why not? Definitely, it makes, it's a little play on words, the pride, as far as in like pride of something, like you or
proud of
you're
things.
proud of it, or pride as in the lions. And then of course, obviously, the where it's at. So it's pretty much on the nose. It's not too
because a group of lions is called a pride.
Yep.
So
It's right on the nose.
It's pretty much on the nose.
Yeah.
But then I have to say we'll just go here. Oh, back to you, sir.
I'm a hoe.
Ain't that true?
I'm a real boy. How original and unique was this premise of the book? I thought it was pretty unique. I mean, I assume was from reading it was based on a true story.
It was.
Yes. The premise.
The small premise.
Yeah.
Yes.
The premise of the book.
Inspired by true events.
I'm
Yes.
assuming.
A very small premise that was exaggerated for the book. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's why they call it inspired by.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
And what is that premise for people watching that haven't read the book?
Well, we'll just go on to that later.
Yeah, we'll go on to that later.
I'm using Alan's line.
I'm going on the assumption that people haven't joined the book club and they've actually read the books and they're just going to talk about it.
But okay.
But we will talk about it afterwards. We'll see.
James really wants to get into the metaphorical
honestly,
aspect.
honestly,
And the soliloquy.
half the time that we answer questions or we talk about the book, we answer half these questions and then
Yeah,
my hoe bag is useless.
Reaching the hoe bag.
When I read it, I didn't read all the metaphorical stuff into it. I just read it for what it was.
No, but I definitely think it was the original premise. Like, I mean, not the anthropomorphic of making giving human qualities to animals, but just
kind of did though.
But there was a bombing raid that hit the zoo in Baghdad and released.
And had a unique perspective because there was no humans.
Just answer the question, can you, sir? You have to give the premise.
He was going to do it anyway.
I knew he was.
Is there a character?
All day.
Is there a character you would like to meet in real life?
No.
The lion cub, because they probably couldn't eat
Kill you.
The rest of them, no thank you.
I liked I'm not sure I'd want to meet him, but I really liked the bear.
I was gonna say I like the bear.
The bear was pretty scary.
He's kind of a douche. But
Yeah.
he was pretty cool. I actually thought all the characters in the book were actually pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Obviously, if I wasn't getting eating, I would like to meet Safa, the older female. Yeah. She was really her character. I think was the neatest out of all three of them.
Well, she had
all four of them.
the age on
She had
to
the
the wisdom.
experience.
She had the wisdom.
Yeah, and they kind of briefly talk about the backstory, and they kind of get that little bit of, like, you've seen some stuff. Like, we get it. So, I think she would be neat to kind of meet, and obviously, if I wasn't going to get eaten, but be able to interact with that at that point. So, I liked her.
And who couldn't use a lion friend?
I know, right?
I worked for Timon and Pumbaa.
What did you think of the pacing of the issues you read? This was really well paced. It read, it was 120 some odd pages, but just read really fast.
And but they gave them each moments. Like, there was moments for each of them, each of the characters, even the side characters had a little bit of a moment. It didn't feel like, it was, when it was done, the ending was really abrupt, and that was kind of like...
Right, the ending was abrupt.
But because you were going, and you kind of, like, felt...
But it didn't feel rushed either, but it just moved fast.
Yeah.
And just,
Things happened, and then they had moments, and, like, I thought it was...
And even if there weren't any, like, dialogue, things happen. You didn't need to have the dialogue in it to understand what was happening.
It's true. Like, when the giraffe's head...
That
messed me up for a little bit. Because I read it digitally, so, like, I just had the one frame. So it's just like a one frame per... So I click, and then all of a sudden it's like, BAM! I'm like, oh, I was not ready for that. It's like, yeah, that sucked. So... Which
Neither was the giraffe.
Yeah.
You have to read it by frame on yours, and it doesn't give you a whole page to read?
You can choose to read it by frame, but it's easier for me to, like... Because it usually zooms in, and I can read the dialogue better instead of having to zoom in, zoom out. And so I just usually do frame by frame. It's easier.
And scarier.
It is, and more intense because you're not ready for it. What did you think about your stopping point in the series? So this obviously had a beginning and an end.
Self-contained.
It was all self-contained. It was all in the... Was it 5 issues? 6 issues?
There wasn't. I don't think it was.
I think it came out as a trade.
Yeah, it came out as a graphic novel.
Okay. So this,
because they felt it needed to be read
complete in entirety. I don't disagree. I think that would be hard to kind of break it up.
Right.
Because that was one thing that when you're talking about pacing, I feel like it didn't have a stop and starting point. Yeah. They weren't like trying to, we'll stop here for this book, so let's fill in this stuff. And so I think they had a great
exposition on the next issue to catch you up. Yeah. And
then obviously the ending was pretty finale. There was not a, and as much as after reading the book, I think I would have liked a little bit more at the beginning. I would have liked a little bit more about them. So, but I did enjoy. I thought they did really well. I think they had enough of everything put in there. Did well.
Oh. Your turn, my turn.
Your turn.
Okay. Sorry.
I just always talk, so nobody knows when I'm done.
Did you have a favorite character? I think we kind of touched on that. Was it Nor?
Nor was the younger lioness
who was trying to work with the others to get out.
Right.
Yes.
I kind of liked her.
She was bag.
I don't know. I kind of thought the other one was.
She's a lion.
No, she was like always trying to instigate something.
She kind of was, but I think she
only
was
with the other lion.
I think it was because she was younger.
Yeah, but she was wanting to work with the others to get out. So she showed more change and adaptability than the old set in the way one-eyed did.
I don't think she I don't know. Was she born there?
I think so.
They never really got into that.
I couldn't remember if she was born there or
not. But she was working with the antelopes and the monkeys and she was working with other groups to get out. She
got screwed by the monkeys.
She did.
She got screwed by the monkeys. Yes.
She got screwed by a lot of people in that book.
Yeah.
And she didn't like. She wanted to hunt and not be handed.
Right.
And fed.
Yeah.
She wanted to be out in the wild.
I thought that was the old woman.
No, the old one was kind of just like, I'm
the
done.
old one was like, man, they bring us food every day.
She's like, you don't know how good you
have
it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the other
one was like, I want to chase shit.
Yeah.
And
I've been out there in the wild. I know what it's like.
But maybe that was the male one was like that.
No,
the male one kept saying he didn't hunt because that was the women's job.
Yeah.
He was kind of laid back.
He kind of didn't care which way he went. He just went with whatever.
Yeah.
But I have to say, Safa was probably my favorite character, the older lioness.
I kind of liked them all, but like I said, the bear just kind of cracked me up.
Yeah.
I mean, he was such an ass.
Yeah. The picture was a big giant Russian, like Ursa Major,
exactly.
from Marvel. Yeah.
If they made a movie or TV show, who would make a good cast?
What they did.
Anybody from The Lion King, like all the people from The Lion King need to make this movie.
I was gonna say they did. It's called The Lion King,
Yeah.
kind of.
I don't know. This one definitely has a lot darker. I think this one has a little bit more adult, darker premise, and I think it would actually make a pretty decent movie if they could figure out a way not to Hollywood it so much, because they'd have to bring in a human cast and they'd have to do some kind of weird story.
And it'd be kind of short.
Yeah.
Unless you did it as a short.
Well, I think I'd do it for like an hour and a half. Build
You'd
up
have to add. You'd have to add a lot to it.
You just build up the beginning, like you're talking about the relationships and stuff you had.
I think you could. I think you could do it as an
Yeah.
hour and a half movie. Not any problem.
But I mean, any of the since it'll all be voice work.
Right.
I mean, there's so many great. Like Beyonce would make a good lion. Obviously, she made a good one.
Wow.
Who's the one that made a? Who was the one she? She was in Black Panther. She was the love interest. She also did the
You have
alien.
Angela Bassett as the old lion.
Yeah.
Safa.
Yes.
Or Alfred Witter.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was making.
Cicely
Tina
Tyson.
Turner.
Cicely
Oh
Tyson.
yeah.
Michael Ironside doing the vocals for the bear.
Yes.
Yeah, because he played.
Or
a great
unfortunately, since he
Highlander in
passed,
that.
Rutger Hauer would have been a good one. He's got a good voice. Or he had a good voice. But they could do it. They're gonna do so many different things. Is that you? To the hoe bag with you.
What did you like best about this comic? I kind of liked the art. It's my favorite in this comic. I really liked the art, the way it was colored. I liked how the artist made them. They look like animals, but yet he was able to put enough expression in them that you understood just by looking at them what they were feeling and expressing at any certain time in the book.
And it didn't just focus on the character. They look out at the world, and I'd just sit there for a minute, man. Look at that vista.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, in the scene where they're running from the tanks, and then they pan out, and it's like all the tanks going to Baghdad, and the Baghdad's all on the on the horizon.
And
It
the
was
little
really,
one kept asking, "Is this a horizon?" You know,
Right.
is this a horizon, Safa?
Yeah, the art was really, really talented. But for me, I personally liked the best part about the book was the dialogue and the pacing, the way that they made you feel for these characters in such a short amount of time, and actually gave them a voice and kind of humanized them a little bit, but still kept that wild animal feel to it. Because when the younger female was like, "We're mating," you're putting your seed in me, and it's like that's not a human thing to do, but it's very much an animal thing with the human voice, which I think is kind of interesting how they kind of mix that in there.
She was like, "Do it again."
Yeah,
like,
he's like,
no,
yeah, he's like,
done.
I'm calm, I'm good. She's like, no.
Well, and even the scene where the rape scene in it with the older one, it's like you only have only last 6 seconds, Then I got my 4 brothers,
Yeah, and
it's
that was pretty. But they the way they just gave the animals a voice was my favorite part.
It all. I mean, like I said, I like the art the best, but it all really worked together.
Yeah.
It was really well done.
I don't disagree. Yeah, they had a really good team on that, and like the whole yeah. What was your favorite thing?
Oh, I liked all of it except the last 2 or 3 pages.
for the reason.
Yeah.
James, what was your favorite thing?
Probably the art.
Because you hadn't read this before,
No.
right? This was all a new book to all of us.
Yes.
Did the characters seem believable, or did they remind you of anyone? I definitely think that they, like I said, a few moments ago, was like
You kick it metaphorically.
they definitely gave everybody a human voice to, and I also feel like they had assigned really great issues to each of them to have them be a thing, and I don't know. I think they did really well with the voice of all the characters. and I think they all seem believable, not only as a human but also as an animal. You know, they did really well with that fine balance. Like even like one of the things that stuck out in my mind was when they were chasing, when the two females were chasing the horses, and then the older one's like, I don't have this in me. I'm all too old. I've got probably my 5 more sprints. And
that's what I was gonna say. They also did well with the age of each character.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and then like you know they kind of had that rivalry, but then they were kind of also part of the group. You know they did really well with giving them all a voice. I think they did.
They had both human and animal problems.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, in that scene where they chase, you talking about the horses, they chase them in, and I think it's the oldest one that sees that picture of the lion with wings.
It was the younger one.
With the younger one.
Okay,
And then later in the story, they mention, you know, we can't fly. Well, I've seen, you know.
Yeah. There's some of us that can. And it's that picture. Yeah. They did really well. Like it was really good. All right, one more round, or is that at the end of it? No, I think we have one more round. You go again, because I just did that one.
These go by so. No, I think you keep shortening the.
Well, it's a short book, and it's.
Yeah. Because that was the one thing too, was like, you know, like when everybody kept saying it's a quick read, and it was a quick read.
We discussed this one,
but each, like, even Dal said it, you know, even the small pages that had no words, or even the pages that had little words, was really, really well.
Would you read other comics by this writer? Why or why not? Yeah, I have. So
I was like, I think we have.
We have for book club.
In the book club, yeah.
I mean,
some of these
guys. He's done,
answered,
you know, Why the Last Man, and he's done
Ex Machina.
Yeah.
We talked about this a little bit, and the ending of it to me was really, like we said, abrupt, and I didn't quite get it because it didn't look like they were anywhere near those Marines or whoever they were.
Right.
And then they were just blown apart. And then James says, "Oh, that was metaphor," and I was like, "Okay, well, I didn't.
Okay.
I was reading it for metaphor."
I think it was also maybe like a little bit of a political stand. I think it did feel like it was very much a, sometimes in war you have you don't always.
South Park. They're coming right at us.
The performance,
right.
the anticipation of an attack.
Well, they seemed like they were like on a building kind of, and nowhere. It was like they were anything around them whatsoever.
I didn't get the political thing of that, or I didn't get the metaphor of that either. So you want to explain your metaphor that was for, please, sir?
So each of the characters in the book was, because it was Brian K. Vaughan's anti-war message, and each of the characters represented
innocence.
Different aspects, and that in his mind that the U.S. military is kind of, shoot first, ask questions later, that always seeing threats and maybe overreaching to them.
Because when you're, I definitely,
I just read comics to be entertained. I don't read.
Well, I feel like, even when, like, it's just like Terry said though, when you read it and they kill them, they kill the lions, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, he was coming right for us. I was the same way. It definitely felt like, well, they weren't really doing anything.
They weren't anywhere near anything.
And then all of a sudden, but it's like
I feel that was on purpose.
I don't disagree.
That he feels like the U.S. does that a lot.
Well, I also think it was the feeling
like,
of war.
They're threatening us, so we've got to kill them before they kill us.
Well, and I definitely think it's like an aspect of war when you're in war and your adrenaline's going and you're in this war zone. And then all of a sudden,
there's a lion.
Yeah, there's a freaking lion, and it's yelling. It roars. I mean, like the first thing you're gonna do is like you're already on edge. You're already ready to go. And so I think it was not only a thing about like maybe shooting too soon, but also a look into the way that war makes you do things that maybe aren't always true, or aren't always obvious.
That you wouldn't normally do.
Right. You wouldn't normally just shoot somebody for no reason, but when you're like going through rubble and you're things are being bombed and
you hear a noise behind you and you turn around and you shoot.
Yeah, because
if you don't, it may be somebody
Life or
shooting
death,
at you.
right.
Well, I mean,
exactly.
you can even look at it as not even being in war. Look at, I mean, if you want to get really metaphorically, you could do like the whole Black Lives Matter, the police lives matter. Any circumstances where, you've got
Where everybody's so hyped up that you've got to make a split second
decision.
So, I mean,
you or me. And I definitely feel like that was the thing. The other thing that I kind of thought that made that particular point was that I mean, what would you do? I mean, they're lions. You're not going to be able to like. And what would you do with them?
I mean,
you can't scare them off. You're not going to be like shoot.
You can't
Go on,
catch
kitty
them
cat.
and
Yeah, you
carry
can't
them around
catch
your
them.
backpack.
Just leave
Like,
them alone.
I mean, I'm sure that.
Well, I mean, like when you're taking over the city, you can't just leave them alone.
I'm sure none of the military guys carried trank darts.
Yeah,
at the time. So,
Yeah, I mean, like that would have been unrealistic, but
right.
I mean, because that's the thing I kept thinking. I was like, well, what else would you have done? Like, I mean, you can't just like go on, kitty cat. It's like
Go on, kitty cat.
roar. All right, you and then Terry.
explain all the metaphors now.
It probably is.
Well, do you think this is a pretty straightforward story, or was there a lot of metaphors?
It was meant to be.
Well, we discussed that one pretty well.
And I love that you pulled the question. Like, we should just give this question to you.
What
I'm
the heck
gonna
happened to
frame
this question?
That would be Thunder.
What did you like least about this comic?
Thunder liked this question least.
The kitty cats
I
didn't
don't know.
rule
I
the
think I
world.
liked- just it didn't necessarily like or dislike the ending. It just wasn't. Just confused me at the time. So nothing really to dislike about the book.
As of what, like the actual action of them dying, I did not like that.
Right.
That was probably the least thing that I would. But it makes sense. It was a good ending. It fit. There was no it wasn't out of place. It was just I didn't want that to happen. Like I would like to have seen something, obviously, some other resolution. Like they get rescued by the zoo or they get put back somewhere. But the reality is that's what never happened.
Or it shows them in the Bronx Zoo and they're relaying the story.
Yeah,
something
or
like that.
Something,
yeah.
they're already they made their way back to the wild. Something I would have liked to. I mean, but I knew that.
Or one of the
wasn't
lions wakes up and like, damn,
Yeah.
that was a wild dream.
It's a dream sequence, the whole thing.
We're not Dallasing it.
Dude, yeah. So, but like,
Will anybody get the Dallas reference nowadays?
Probably not.
probably not.
Just
Just
probably
us.
not.
Yeah.
What's the Dallas reference?
Do you know who JR
If
is?
you don't know, you have to Google it.
Yeah.
It was Bobby.
It was JR that woke up, wasn't it?
It was Bobby.
It was Bobby that woke up.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, Priscilla.
But who's JR? Like
Yeah.
that's what the next thing everybody's like, who
Right.
shot JR? Nobody gets that reference either. Like that was another thing when you're reading it frame by frame, that kind of took me aback too, because I was like, I assumed eventually there was going to have to be some finale, and so I'm just sitting there going through it. All of a sudden he goes in there, like the lion goes, "What's that over there?" Or he says something to the effect of like he recognizes the military, and then the next scene is him getting shot, and it's like that was the thing. You're like. And you kind of knew it's kind of because you see that you're like, and they're like,
Yeah, it was also-
and the next thing you know, it's just all of them. And
It was
it's like,
interesting. They didn't know what was going on either. The other lions were like, "What the hell's going? What?
yeah,
I
why is
don't
everybody
understand.
dying? Yeah,
He's laying down. What?
Yeah.
Why are you awake?
Yeah.
What's going on with you?"
again, a very animalistic thing where
Yeah.
like they don't know what's going on. It's
Right.
where like if it was a very that happened to be human. But, all right, was that it?
That was it.
Yep. That's it.
So overall, what did everybody think about the book? I mean, I'm actually surprised that you liked it as much as you did,
Why would you be surprised?
Right.
because you always have something negative to say.
That's Dow. That is Dow.
No,
Yes, it
Dow's
is.
just negative. Like you always have something horrible to say.
So you expect it from Dow to be negative. It just oozes negative.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm just ready for it. But with you, like I realized, like, here we go. So I'm surprised that you actually. I think I'm. It's not really your genre either. So I thought that was kind
I
of.
don't really have a genre.
You do.
No,
Whatever.
I don't. What is my genre?
You want a horror.
No, that's not
Yes.
my only genre.
I didn't say it was your only genre, but that is your main. That is your
This
go-to.
is his main.
I know. See, everybody knows it except for you, Terry. You're the only one that's fighting it.
Yeah.
But what did you guys think? Did you?
I liked it.
Yeah, it was a good pick. Like it was really good. I was really surprised. Like, because it's definitely not anything I would have ever read at all. ever. But it was so good. They did really well. But it's like you said, I think they had a great combination.
Mm-hmm.
The art was great. The colors were amazing. The story was excellent. The dialogue didn't feel out of place. I did get a little taken aback though when she was trying to like weasel her way out of the zoo by getting all the other animals together. I thought that was kind of a little odd and a little bit more humanistic than what actual animals would be. And I thought it was interesting that they made her the only one that was kind of like this idealist. Like, you know, she's like, well, you know, the antelope said that they'll be okay if the monkeys get together and everything. And everybody's like, all the other animals are like, we're animals. We're not going to do that. You know, it's like, what? Like, why don't you realize this? And she was the only one that didn't. So I thought that was kind of interesting too. They did all that. But overall, good pick.
I liked it. You didn't ask, but I liked it.
Well, I figured you would chime in, but you didn't. So.
Well, you asked Terry. You asked James.
Dal, did you like the book?
I already answered the question, sir.
Oh my God. This is why I don't ask you things.
Yes, I did like it, except like I said, the last 2 or 3 pages.
Now, did you just like it just because you didn't like the ending, or did you like it because it was
I didn't
just...
like the ending. Yeah, but like I said, I liked it.
You're talking to somebody who owns 9 cats. You don't want to see a bunch of cats die.
That is true.
Yeah, I don't like any animal.
9?
You just got to his 9th.
Yes. You missed that. You missed that story at lunch or brunch.
Hey, I'm one breakup away from having 9 cats. If David ever leaves me, and that's it. I'm like, this will be a house. This will be
Hey, we have a race to become the crazy cat person. You can be a crazy cat.
I will make it happen. Quick, fast, in a hurry.
Well, he's already got the crazy. You have the cats.
That's why we're friends.
Yes.
Yeah, so overall, what would you rate it?
What are we doing? 5 stars?
Yep.
Oh, we're doing the
Unicorn horns.
Purple.
Beige. Kind of a beige.
An A minus plus.
With the accent red.
A with ellipsis.
4.5. I mean, it's almost 5.
Yeah. I feel like if it was my genre of book, I would probably give it a 5. But I'd say 4 out of 5 unicorn horns for me.
4 is what I would put it.
Yeah.
I'd say 4.
Yeah.
2 in a row that everybody likes.
What was your other one?
The Sisterhood of Steel.
Yeah, that one was really good too. Yeah, that was another one that was kind of a surprise. All right. Let's get this crap show on the road. What's your frickin' pick?
Well, I talked about it before, so I'm going to go back. Way back.
Oh, God.
To a book most of us have read, but we haven't read it in so long. I don't think you've read it, though. But we're going to read Camelot 3000.
I don't think I ever have read that.
No.
Now, but that's multiple.
It's 12 issues.
12 issues.
Okay.
Self-contained.
Okay.
It's 12 and done. So it's long, but it's finite.
Okay. So we're going to try to get through all 12, I assume, then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Camelot 3000.
Camelot 3000. Yeah.
Have you all read it? Have you read it?
It's
Have
been,
you read it?
I've read
I've
it,
read
but
like
it's
the first
been
4 or 5.
long.
Okay.
But it's been back in the 80s,
Yeah.
early 90s. Art by Brian Boland.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot who wrote the story.
That was also the first book to be put on Baxter paper.
Oh, really? Well, that's
Pretty
interesting.
gorgeous.
Was it also the first?
I remember all the covers.
Yeah, I think it may have been the first
One
Baxter
of the
series.
first.
Who did write it? Was it Gibbons?
That sounds right, but I can't remember. We'll all race to see who.
I know, it's like who can Google the fastest.
Who can Google fastest?
Let's see. I think James is going to get it.
Mike Barr.
Damn it.
Mike Barr.
Oh,
Okay.
Mike W. Barr.
Well, he's kind of fallen off by times like that. But yeah, it's nice that he's
From
that's good. He wrote it,
82. So that's
Wow.
what,
It's gonna be interesting to reread this and see how
30 years ago.
35 years
how
ago.
it reads now from when I read it back then.
Well, we've
Well,
discussed
that's-
it before. It's kind of King Arthur.
Well, that's what
It's
happened with
Not kind of.
Yeah.
Sisterhood of Steel.
Yeah.
I mean, how old was that? That was
That was
still
in the
over
80s
30s.
too.
Yeah. That was-
And I thought it held up pretty well.
decent.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. It's gonna be interesting to see. Does it still? Does
It's-
this
but
book that I
It's
read back
funny,
then
there's
really
some
really hold
things
up?
that held up, and then some that you'd like, yeah, they would never do that today.
Right.
Well, and like I feel like with Sisterhood of Steel, like I feel like the story held up, but like the art was very 80s, the dialogue and the paneling was very 80s. It had an 80s feel to it, but it was just like
You always see like an 80s hard rock soundtrack or kind of going when you read it.
Yeah, or like a never-ending story.
Yeah.
A never-ending story.
So,
I got a feeling that's how this
For
one's
this-
gonna be. It's all this beautiful art. I think it's going to be
Very
it's gonna
timed.
have that time.
Yeah.
For this week, Marvel Tales came out this week, and it had some old Hulk stories in it, and they explained things a lot more, and
Yeah.
told what had happened before a lot more in the old. Every
With
book.
references.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, like those
Yeah.
old Steve Ingle.
There's a
Steve
lot
Ingle,
more dialogue in the
Thomas,
old-
I mean, the
Doctor
Hulk in
Stranges.
the old Hulk stories, pretty much every story and Rick Jones went out in the desert, and Banner went out and
Saved him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the retelling every time.
yeah, every
issue
time.
could be someone's first issue.
Have you ever read the old Marvel, like the omnibuses that were like came out in black and white? They were like on newspaper print.
The Essentials.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Essentials. But I read the Avengers one. I read like volumes 1 through 5 of the Essentials and like the Avengers ones were all like that. Like I mean,
Did you color
every
them?
new. No, I wish I had that kind of like motivation because that would have been cool. But like every single one of them, every single book, they kept
Captain America's in it, and they would retell the story,
his
about
story
him
every single
being
moment.
frozen
Yes.
and.
Black Panther, they would always that's one thing, like as soon as he walked into a room, he'd be like, I'm the Prince of Wakanda and I'm here with technology, and it's just like, they kept telling their stories over and over again.
Well,
But,
because like I was saying, back then, every first issue, or every issue could be someone's first. That's why
Yeah.
they wanted to do that. The 70s Doctor Stranges were that way too.
Well, they
It was
kind of
such
had
a-
to
such
do
an
that back then
exposition,
because there
yeah.
weren't comic shops, there
Right.
weren't pull lists.
right.
Most kids, it was like
Whatever was on the
you
shelf.
might get issue 67 and then get
Mhm.
issue 73 and
Right.
78, and if you didn't do that, I remember as a kid, I just would pick up a comic and read. I didn't read the storylines.
Yeah.
It was you just picked one
You
up and
read
read
what you
it.
got,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they, I mean, like,
And
always,
they wrote to that audience, and today they write to people that get pull lists.
Yeah.
And
or they write for the trade.
yeah.
I think a lot of people are writing for the trade
And
now.
we have gone way off track. Let's bring it back around to.
It's still talking about kind of the premise.
Still talking about comics.
We are, yes, but we're not talking about.
Shut your mouth.
We're just talking about comics. So, Camelot 3000.
Camelot 3000. Yeah.
all 12 issues.
Mhm.
All right, so if you would like to join us, we would love to have you. So read Camelot 3000 issues.
Get
1
your
through 12.
trades. Read Camelot 3001 through 12. Join us back here next month as
I
we
look like a
discuss.
giant.
You do look like a giant. As we discuss Camelot 3000.
See, I thought you were gonna say Excelsior.
Yeah.
Excelsior.
Excalibur.
So August. Oh
Excalibur.
God, I need a new group.
I was
Subscribe.
helping you.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Click
Ring
the
the
bell.
bell if you can. We would love to have more people.
Tell
more
your
people.
friends.
Tell your mom.
Call your neighbors.
Tell
your mom.
Wake the kids.
I'm
Tell
sure
your
mom's
dad's
really
mistress.
interested. So, yeah, tell your mom.
Okay. A real quick story about this, the Pride of Baghdad, though. Like, I clean teeth for a living, so if anybody doesn't know me, that's what I do for a living. So I have a patient that is a librarian, and every time she comes in, we always talk comic books, because she'll read them at the library, and she'll be like, oh, we have that one, And so I always tell her about things that we read in the book club, and one of the one was this Pride of Baghdad. I was like, you've got to read this one. This one's really good. And so it really is kind of like one of those ones that I think if somebody was getting into comic books that maybe wasn't into superheroes or something like that, this would be a really good one to be like, hey, try this one out. It's kind of like more like a movie, kind of magic.
Or if they like the
animals.
Jungle Book or
Yeah.
something like that. Then yeah.
Or Lion King.
Yeah.
Or the Lion King. or
So anyways, so if you get a chance, if you didn't read the book for the month, then please pick it up because it was a really good one. It was probably one of our top picks, which doesn't happen often with this crew.
yeah, we
So
all agree on it.
Pride of Baghdad by Brian K. Vaughan. And then next month we will see you for Camelot 3000. But until then, thank you for joining us, and we hope your pull list is full. Bye.
Bye.